After going through Olive Spector's life in the first episode, this time we really set things in motion in Strangetown. The main conflict in the neighborhood is of course the appearance of aliens, and the Curious family is certainly siding with them, so let's start the story there. The 4 Curious siblings all have some sort of alien affiliation. The 3 brothers are all obsessed with the thought of abduction, while their sister Jenny is already married to one. Pascal was already lucky enough to be taken away and impregnated, but soon Whitcomb gets abducted too, fulfilling his biggest wish. But this also refuels some long-time buried conflict between him and Pascal. This conflict roots in their teenage years. They were competing for the same girl, Cersei, back in high school. Whitcomb had more success, but eventually Cersei broke up with him after an embarrassing accident and married Loki. So I think that when Pascal got impregnated first, he felt like he finally won a battle against Whitcomb, and he became the cool, exceptional member of the family. But now that Whitcomb is also pregnant, this status is over. Once again, Whitcomb is the coolest brother, and Laszlo sides with him of course. Therefore Pascal feels outcasted. All he's dreaming about is to move out and live his own life with his alien baby, but unfortunately he has no money to do so. In his loneliness, there's only one person who can comfort him, and it is his good friend, Nervous Subject, the boy taken away from Olive Spector, sneaking out to meet him almost every night. After taken away as a toddler by the social services, Nervous Subject was adopted by the Baker family, so let's find out more about who they really are. As I mentioned briefly, back in high school, Pascal, Whitcomb and Loki were all competing for Cersei, and this is only what we know of, so she was probably a stunningly clever and beautiful girl, a true idol for all those teenage boys. But we know that in the end she chose Loki to marry and start a family with. After a few years of trying and hoping for a baby to be conceived, they had to face the bitter truth, that Cersei was infertile. Loki worked day and night hoping to find a cure as a scientist, but at some point they had to realize that science cannot fix everything, so they decided to adopt a baby. Little did they know when they first had Nervous in their arms that they were cuddling the child of the Grim Reaper itself. And that poor kid was so troubled. He cried non-stop, no matter how hard Cersei and Loki tried to calm him, and they got more and more desperate. All they wished for was a perfect family, and first it turned out that they could never have a biological kid, and now they cannot make the adopted one happy no matter how hard they try. So as time passed and Nervous' condition didn't improve, they started experimenting with more and more drastic methods. Of course, gossip spread around town like wildfire, and suddenly they found themselves outcasted from the community and branded for seemingly torturing their son. But the truth is that they were just desperate trying to make Nervous happy, and unfortunately they had the means to go way too far with it. Neither Olive took her revenge on her sister by killing her and taking her daughter. She decides to retire in order to have full control over Ophelia's life. When she goes out, when she comes home, who she meets, everything is under control. Ophelia has a relationship with Johnny Smith, but sadly their dates are limited to the classes. Her captivity comes to its end soon when Olive gets invited to one final, everlasting date with her true love. But there's a minor inconvenience. In her will, Olive left all her money and possessions, including the house, to her only son Nervous, wherever he is, leaving Ophelia with nothing. So one day when Cersei is coming home from work, she sees this unusual package in the mailbox addressed to Nervous, containing the property deed of Olive's old house and the money she left to him. Of course, they don't tell Nervous about it. First, because what would he do with it? He's not able to manage his life on his own, or so they think. And second, all their experiments on him cost them a lot. Cersei failed to earn a promotion multiple times while focusing all her efforts on Nervous. So they just keep it in secret. Nervous does not suspect anything at all, as he doesn't even know he had a mother. After Johnny's birthday party is ruined by 10 grand, he angrily packs his things and moves in with Ophelia. The struggles continue there because all the ghosts in the garden are driving them crazy. They decide to sell the house and buy a smaller one so they can get rid of the ghosts and even end up having a little extra money to start their life. Of course, Ophelia knows that technically the house is not hers, but she still hopes to find the papers somewhere in one of the drawers so she can cheat with them and sell the house in secret. But as we know, everything was already mailed to the Bakers, so she has no luck with that. They are struggling because Ophelia is a hypochondriac, so she doesn't really want to go out and find work. Meanwhile, Johnny signs up to the army, pursuing his dreams, but the conflict between him and Tank only gets worse. Tank is backed by his father, General Buzz, who hates aliens with all his heart. So he arranges one promotion after the other for his own son, but tries everything to keep Johnny struggling as a recruit. Again, the ghosts are getting on their nerves. Ophelia is unhappy because she wants to start a family, but they have no money. To sum it up, their life is not really how they imagined it to be when they were teens. Tangrand behaves just like his father, but he's not that cold on the inside. He just wants to meet his father's expectations. Meanwhile, Rip is a lazy romance sim, and Buck is a fat, overly nice and empathic kid. Needless to say that General Buzz prefers Tank and spends all his time training him, ignoring his two other sons. Besides of this, the General spends his remaining free time trying to ruin Polynesian Technician's life, but that man is just too chilled. So General Buzz is extremely happy when Johnny signs up to the army and gives him the ultimate opportunity to take revenge on Mr. Smith by ruining his son's life instead. More troubles are about to come to Johnny when one day, as Nervous brings the mails inside, he finds Olive's will and the money on Cersei's desk. And Nervous is a simple-minded person. He knows that his best friend Pascal wants to get away from his brothers, and now he has the means to help by offering to escape with him and move into Olive's old house together. But Johnny and Ophelia still live there, so now it's up to Pascal to inform them about this. And this is not such an easy task for Pascal, even if he appreciates Nervous's help, because he's friendly to aliens overall, and now he's about to put one onto the streets. But it turns out quite convenient for Ophelia and Johnny, because they finally get rid of the old house, and Nervous even gives them some money so they can buy a small house for themselves. Nevertheless, Johnny, on the lowest rank of the military career, is still not able to provide enough to start a family as Ophelia wants to. She starts to have more interest in a young commander who could finally provide her everything she needs. And we could discuss whether Tank really likes Ophelia or he is just encouraged by his father to seduce her in order to give another punch to Johnny. But the point is that Ophelia eventually leaves Johnny for him. Devastated and heartbroken, Johnny moves back to his parents, and not long after he gets a surprising visit by none else but Rip Grant. Because Rip was struggling with something for a long time now. Back in high school, he was friends with Ophelia, and he supported her as she went steady with Johnny, but secretly, he was dying inside seeing his crush finding love with someone else. But he knew he had no choice. In one hand, because he didn't want to cause any rupture in their friendship, and in the other hand, because how could he stand in front of his father, admitting that he was madly in love with a half-alien boy? As he heard that Johnny's relationship with Ophelia was over, he gathered all his courage, told his father everything, and without waiting for any kind of acceptance or support, he left to live on his own, and now he is there, standing in front of Johnny, to slowly figure out whether he is open to this idea. In the meantime, Cersei and Loki notice that both Nervous and the money are gone. They have to admit the truth that no matter how hard they tried, they failed as parents. And now, of course, they are blaming each other for everything. Witkan sees this as an opportunity to seduce back Cersei by bragging with his new alien baby. As Cersei is looking for two things in her life, interesting scientific things and a kid, Witkan's master plan works perfectly and they move in together. Despite of their ruined relationship, Loki still loves Cersei and he could do anything to get her back. So he starts working on something that could be the greatest invention of all times, a time machine to prevent their life falling apart. He becomes obsessed, working all day and night, but he's simply not able to create it. Getting more and more desperate, he eventually dies while running tests on the machine. But his work will not be in vain. Some years later, Cassandra Gott will start her research and construct a working time machine based on his results. I'd like to stop the story on that note. In the next and final part, we will see what General Buzz plans to get rid of all the aliens in Strangetown and how the affected families can react to his attempt. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.